And we're live.
It's hot
Are we
in
live?
here, crackling with fire and flames. I don't
I
know
think
if it's the spark of our creativity or our loins getting so steamy and excited to read our first page critiques. Oh, come on, Molly. You know, you're bringing the heat today.
no, let's I don't know that we ever need to talk about loins. Let's take that word out of your vocabulary. Just um
Out of only
yeah.
my vocabulary.
Yeah, no, you've abused your powers.
I
And now
don't
you must
know.
be
I
limited.
don't know about that. I mean, loins is set. Tell us in the comments. Does everyone need to, remove loins from their vocabulary? Aaron, I feel like you'll have an opinion. Or should this just be like specifically Morgan that is not allowed to use the steamy word loins? Moist. She added moist. She's like, don't add moist. You don't need the word moist either. And putting them together, cropping member. I knew it. I knew Aaron would have something amazing.
Yeah, well, fascinating. I love the way this has started. Thank you all so much for joining us today. The theme tonight is that the world is chaos. The world is on fire. We don't know what's going on. But you know what? Screw it. At least we can create.
And
we
by
can
the
read.
way, she means my lungs because I have a cold.
Yeah, that's part of it. That is what I mean. Nothing else.
Everything else is
fine. Take context out of the rest of what we're living through right now. And literally, there's also now a big wildfire going on in Southern California as well, which is also dumping stuff into the air, which is also great for Morgan and I's lungs. It's fun. It's just a fun place.
Maybe they could do a romance between firefighters or someone escaping the fire or somebody who gets trapped in a pool all night. I don't know. I'm feeling. Do we have romance tonight to read? I'm excited. What are our first page critiques?
But what about their loins?
Hey, nobody took it out of your vocabulary, only mine.
Yeah.
Their moist loins were met with the throbbing number of what page critique?
Of the heated fire in the hills. Anyway, this is why Teresa typically doesn't let us record alone.
And that's what's scary, seeing the world. No, we're sober.
No, this is us.
This is just
all natural. We've got 3 first pages tonight. I'm going to keep trying to get the train back on the rails. We'll keep going off. Don't you worry. And as you keep putting chats in for us, we'll keep reading them. And yeah, you can very easily distract us. Don't you worry. But I'm going to try. We've got 3 pages we want to get through today. One is fantasy. One is middle grade. And then we have an upmarket literary, which we don't get a lot of, but I'm kind of excited about it. I know Morgan's very excited about it.
I love literary fic.
Yeah. Where do you want to start tonight?
Well, 2 of those are my genre, and 1 of them is yours. So should we sandwich it?
Yeah, you want to sandwich it?
Yeah, I'll read middle grade, you read fantasy, and save upmarket for last.
Sounds great. Let me share my screen here. Maybe so we can
all look at elevate us. Like the heat will rise.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like we're going to get like just, more professional.
Oh, no, I wouldn't count on that.
Oh, good. I was like, that seems unlikely, but okay, we could try.
As Aaron said, we are unsupervised. And when Teresa, hi Teresa, when you watch this. Oh my God, that's so funny. It's like Mark knows I'm addicted to horses. If you're describing a horse's loins, it's a fine word.
Is it? I think the only context, maybe it's pork loin, right? Like you're cooking, you want pork loin. That maybe is okay.
So seeing the world, can you call it a moist pork loin? Okay, Molly, let's read some middle grade because
Yeah. I'm gonna share. I'm sharing. I'm allowing. I'm doing this.
I'm making fun of words that
Boom.
have sexual connotations, which puts me in middle grade. Let's go.
Boom.
Let's go. See in the world.
All right. I'm gonna have to just so you're aware. There's more, so I'll have to scroll at some point. But whenever you're ready.
Okay, this is gonna be epic. Middle grade coming live from an amazing author, Grail Academy, The Gateway. My name is Brom Hawkins, and before the demons and potential world obliteration, I was normal. It all started when me and my mom finally pulled into the driveway of our new house. It was a long trip through the Rocky Mountains, but the scenery was beautiful. Crystal clear lakes surrounded by pine forests and snow-capped mountains. It was all truly breathtaking. Me and my mommy stopped for a few times to stretch our legs and enjoy the crisp mountain air. But then, we were in suburbia looking at our new house. And it was exactly as I'd expected. Granted, I was shown photos of it beforehand, but it looked pretty much identical to the house on either side of it. A standard 2-story house with an attic, white siding, and a black shingles. My dad at least painted the shutters and the door bright blue to give it some personality. Well, what do you think? My mom asked. It's nice, I said. I wasn't lying. I'm sure she was hoping for more of a response, but I was tired and just wanted to get the move over with. Dad should be inside. We climbed the front steps together and my mom opened the door. We were greeted by moving boxes and stairs to the second floor. The kitchen opened up to the right and another room was to the left. Honey, we're home, she called out. Hello, my dad shouted back from somewhere in the house. I'll be right there. I slid off my shoes and looked over the boxes. Most were labeled. The ones for the kitchen were mostly empty. A stack with my name crawled across the front, were on the first steps waiting to be carried upstairs. My dad hustled to the entrance. He was sweaty and his glasses were tilted ever so slightly to the right. Sorry about that. I was just getting my desk into position, as well as a few of my filing cabinets. He hugged my mom first. Yay!
All right. Let us know in the chat what you think. A quick reminder, we operate on the even better if model when we do our first page critiques. So we talk about what we like about something, what we think is working in a piece, and then we talk about what we think would be even better if they did blah, blah, blah. So just friendly reminder that is the method that we use here. Morgan, what do you like about this piece?
I think the middle grade voice is good. There was only like one line that I would take issue with, but overall, like overwhelmingly, it was a fun middle grade voice. I like the idea that they started with the move. I think that that's very relatable for the age group. And I like the idea of like uniformity and standing out. I think that's really good theme for middle grade. This idea that they're all the same, but then they want personality. So they want to stand out, but they don't want to stand out. And then I loved the characterization when the mom wants a response and they know they should give a bigger response, but like that's all they have in them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my kids can relate to that. Like I teach middle school. And so I just felt like the kids could relate to that so much. And so I really jived with a lot of that. I thought those are some really great points.
Yeah, I am with you 100%. I love the voice and the humor in here is great. Like I love the first sentence, right?
Yes.
Is great.
Yes.
It is a good juxtaposition. It goes and makes us have questions. We are excited about what's to come. It gives us this little sneak preview. I really, really like that first sentence. I love some of the humor. What was the line that I almost started laughing in? There was a line in here that I thought was, oh yeah. It was exactly as I expected. Granted, I was shown photos of it beforehand.
Yeah, that was so cute, right?
I thought that was such a hilarious line.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was really good. And I also agree with you, like it's written in a good middle grade voice, like the way it's written, the tone, it's very informal, it's approachable, it's relatable. The language is yeah, approachable and relatable for the age group. And like you said, there are some interesting themes here that don't feel tired, but also still feel relatable.
Yeah.
Like these interesting themes of like you said, um, standing out versus wanting to fit in at the same time, your place in the world, um, you know, moving across a country, all this kind of stuff is like it's very interesting. And I really liked, and I'm hoping this isn't a mistake and I want to know more about this this line of, I mean, not mistake. I hope that this is hinting to something more. That's what I mean to say. He hugged my mom first. Like, what does
Yeah.
that say about the character? What does
Yeah.
that say about the family dynamics? I'm very intrigued. And it might just be like the author might mean for it to be a throwaway line, just talking about transitions of how people
I don't
interact.
think so.
But it's so interesting to me. Like, I want more.
Yeah, I don't think so. I would add, okay, so I really liked that.
Yep.
And the way that dad kind of did the nesting and got it all set up for them and created personality. And so I get the idea that dad had to move here and he's coaxing mom into wanting to stay. So that there's like a little bit of a subplot possibly developing there. I like what Seeing the World said about this piece. I really appreciate that. They said, overall, I think it was pretty good. I wonder what is going to happen to keep drawing us in. So should we do an even better if, like anything we can advise?
Yeah.
Take it to the next level.
Yeah. Do you have, I have a very small one and then I have a bigger one.
Well, it's always big first. That makes sense.
You want big first?
Sure.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
I feel like in this first page, I want the character to have a decision, to make a decision, to do something, to choose something. But right now, the character is simply existing in the world with the world around them. And we get a little bit of that character's personality, but we don't really get any conflict. Not that they need to be like fighting ninjas or anything, but I really want to see like, I just want to see the character influencing the world around them in some way. Instead of the character watching the world happen to them, I want them to engage with the world. Does that make sense, Morgan?
Yeah, and I like what Erin is adding. Like, so for a positive, she added, or they, I don't know, pronounce, sorry. They added the glasses detail was good for me. But don't start in the driveway and then flash back, because that could take away some of the autonomy that you're talking about, which is where the character makes a strong action. And then Erin also mentioned maybe start in the driveway to establish the dialogue. So for me, the reason I feel like the protagonist felt more passive was because of the heavy use of description. So I really like the dialogue, and I feel like they're making choices about how to respond to mom and how not to respond to mom. And I think those choices are there on the page, but because it's so much about the dialogue and not the emotional reaction to it. So, for example, you enjoy the character enjoys the crisp mountain air, but that's really a tell line, not a show line. And the mountains are beautiful, but we're moving to a new place. We don't have any kind of teenage reaction. Are we going to miss our friends? Do we have anxiety about the move? Are we excited to see dad? Do we have some teenage angst here? Do we have both emotions competing? And I would think if you were driving, that maybe the mountains would either be like the scenery would be either complementing the emotions and bringing them out, or they would be juxtaposition against the emotions. And that could be a great place to really ground us in the character's journey to help us understand how to feel about the move as we move into the next scene. So that would be maybe some ideas for me.
Yeah. I'm going to jump off of what you said. I think one of the things we're keying in on here is the second paragraph about the mountains, because I think we have ideas of what this paragraph could be doing for our story, but both me and Morgan, and correct me if I'm, misrepresenting your thoughts here, I'm not sure that it's executing on I'm not sure why it's here right now. Like, why is this paragraph here? What does it tell us about our character? What does it tell us about what they want? It seems kind of an aside, right? We're talking about moving. We show up to the house, but then we have this paragraph right at the beginning that's all description about a place that we don't even live. And they're not going to spend any more time at.
Well, it might be telling us that they're from the city and they're moving into a more rural area, maybe. But that's having me as the reader do a lot of assuming.
Yep.
So, seeing the world adds, the first sentence is so strong. I agree. Yeah, I just think the first sentence is so incredible.
It's powerful.
That it sets up a bar that maybe the second paragraph doesn't meet. But I do think the dialogue does. I think by the time you get to the very funny line, like that, but then we were in suburbia looking at our new house. It was exactly as I expected. That's just so great. It's just such good writing. So I think maybe just working on that second paragraph to make some clean decisions would really even better if this.
Yeah, my potential, maybe it's in my even better if is it might be in the wrong order. Because what if we have this first sentence and then we have, well, what do you think? Go right here. And then it goes to this line. So my name was Brian Hawkins, and before the demons and potential world obliteration, I was normal. Next line. Well, what do you think? My mom said. It was exactly as I expected. We got to massage it a little bit, right? If you were moving it on. And then you can talk about the house, and then you could mention like on your way there, if this Rocky Mountain thing is important. I don't know. Maybe playing with the order so you can get the dialogue further up so that we get an idea who the character is.
Might be powerful. Without knowing the intention, we can't give much more feedback. I think
that's fair.
We could definitely play, but without knowing what the author's intention is here.
That's fair.
And what pieces are good foreshadowing, and like if this setting is showing like emotional mirroring, without knowing those pieces, I hesitate to give.
That's smart
feedback.
You're smart.
Some days.
I will say I really want to know, what does the character want?
That was my critique. Is I wanted to know from the move. We know the character is moving. What are they wanting from the move? I think.
Yeah.
Really help. Yeah. Awesome.
I love it.
Well, I love Middle Grade. I would love to read more of this. I can't wait to see it get published, and everyone loved to read it, and some real talent here. Super fun. Now I can
thank you for sharing.
Fantasy, right? Is that what's
next? Oh yeah. Let's do fantasy. We all ready? This is going to be fantasy. I believe it said fantasy. We're going to find out here in a second. The title of the piece is Belzar. A stained glass window breaks the ebony wall coiling around me. The loathsome wall that melts into the limestone floor I lie on and blends with the ceiling looming high above the arched gate. Through converging metal bars, torchlight peers into my chamber, illuminating a narrow path which reaches towards me like a striking hand. Shadows, cast on the uneven ground, wave tauntingly and contrast the tenaciousness of the bloody hatch. That luminous crack, that former solace, that chink in the besieging darkness, a once welcome reminder of the world beyond my vague surrounding, has turned into a grim structure, mocking my paralysis. Barred, it says. The warm porridge scent permeates my chamber, merging with its constant smell of my urine, a combination both foul yet familiar. Below the gate's scant opening, a pair of rats hiss around my tray. The larger vermin claws at his enemy's eyes and forces him to flee. The victor feasts upon the spoils, nurturing himself on my fading sustenance. What will this be? 17, I think? No, that was yesterday. So this will be 18. Sweet Celestine, can it really be that long already? Time voyages queerly here. It dashes, then settles and stalls, allowing a lifetime or more to pass before wheeling back to the beginning and revolving again, hasting. Another scent hovers in the air, lingering like an undiscovered interloper. Dubbin, a mixture of beeswax, tallow, and something else I cannot name, freshly made, and freshly polished on his leather boots.
Oh, I love the style of this author. Love, 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 love the style. I mean, this line about paralysis, that luminous crack, that former solace, this crack that you somehow brought solace before, that chink in the besieging darkness, a once welcome reminder of the world beyond my vague surroundings, has turned into a grim structure mocking my paralysis. The control here is incredible. I love the juxtaposition between the porridge and the urine. I love the idea that there's some kind of sweet memory and then bitter reality. I love the idea that the rat is feasting on their decay and yet it's nurturing them. The ability to take opposites and completely, continuously contrast them with vivid imagery and strong use of verbs is just, to me, delightful. And then to drop into the reflection of the self-thought, what will it be, 17, I think? That's like a master class in when you go from description to internal dialogue to help the reader sit with you and stay interested in the story. I was just like, wow. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, I'll tell you how I really feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I really.
Showing
go ahead.
is so good. The showing is, I'm sorry, the smells, like Erin says this, it's so atmospheric. Yes.
Yeah.
The world. You can feel the world. It's awesome.
I love, right? You talk about showing versus telling, right? And I love that they manage, like, never in this entire, it doesn't say anywhere in here that this person is in jail or in prison or anything like that. It never says that, but we clearly know. We know what we're talking about here. And I think that is really, powerful the way that they have done this. And obviously it's taking a lot of words to do that, but this is a fine place to use those words. And I love, like, the way that they're bringing in characterization through description. So what I mean by that is sometimes description can come off as very just facts, right? But we learn a lot about the character through this description, right? We learn that the wall is loathsome, right? Like that tells you about this character. It tells you, like, the exact that the shadows are taunting them, right? That you learn that this idea of through time, like, this is the sentence that you picked up. What I love about this is you're learning that time has changed this person's viewpoint. This person saw this crack of light and originally thought it was like hope, right? A reminder of the outside world, but enough time has passed that now this character is different and they think it's mocking, right? Those kind of things where it's not just telling you about the world, it's telling you about that person in the world and how that person exists in the world, what they think about it, is really, really difficult to do and really, really well done.
Look at how they're able to relate that to us when they talk about time. Time voyages queerly here. It dashes, then settles and stalls. I'm like, this is like being a middle school teacher. Sometimes it's my prison, sometimes it's my joy. Like, who can't relate to time being like that? And to write about something we all experience with such a fresh voice and an original way. So, like, there is a lot to process. And that would be my even better if, is what Seeing the World is talking about. For me personally, the weakest sentence in the whole thing is the intro sentence. Rather than ground me, it forces me to, like, struggle. It doesn't settle me in naturally. It feels like a lot. And then the use of very long, complex sentences without any short and choppy to break it up for the reader can cause reading comprehension issues. So it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of readers are like, oh, can you break this down for me? And so just something as simple as moving off of the dependent clauses into the independent so much, and using a lot of use on and to link complex ideas together, maybe just a couple of times breaking some short and choppy sentences to let the visuals sit, because this is the first time we're reading it. And while I love the writing, I think just some punctuation changes for breaks and breath for the reader could really increase our ability to enjoy the world. So that's my even better ask.
Yeah, I would generally agree. I would maybe frame it as like sometimes you want to ease somebody into a world. And this first paragraph, while like in a lot of ways really brilliant, right? It is not friendly to the reader when they're coming in cold. They don't know what they're expecting from your book. They haven't, there's no easing into it. It's just like bam. And someone might start that and be like, oh, I got to reread this a few times to get all of these layers, because there's so much going on and there's so many layers. And,
yeah, Molly, to your point, it could even start Bard, it says, and then the warm porridge scent. And if you started there and then from go to sustenance and then switch the order and pull that the thicker descriptive paragraph down, that might work. Or like Erin pointed out, and I agree with this, cutting a few things, just tiny like revisions, and then varying some sentence structure could go a long way. But the warm porridge scent permeates my chamber, merging with the constant smell of my urine. A combination both foul yet familiar is a very powerful first line. I mean, that, to me, that really stands out. It shows so much control. And to me, it shows some literary brilliance, that line does. And so highlighting it by moving it up, just something to consider maybe.
The other very small one I have, and Morgan, I want you to potentially disagree with me here, is that in occasional places, I felt like the author's word choice was like a little, like threw me off just a little bit, because they weren't normal words that I was used to seeing in this. Like the example here, time voyages queerly here.
Oh, and I love that. I will push back
it's
on
not
that.
wrong. It's not wrong. It just definitely made me like, oh, this is an interesting way to use this word and a way to like put this word in here. And so it's not wrong. And if you're doing it intentionally and this is what you want to create, awesome. Keep doing you.
I personally like the voice on that because it's an unfamiliar word choice. It asks me to think of time in a way I haven't before, which is what I thought was so rich about the choice to begin with. But I definitely agree with Erin. She was talking about when I was reading the line about the warm porridge scent, and this, Molly, proves your point, so this is where I would support you. So on that line, the warm porridge scent permeates my chamber, merging with its constant smell of my urine, both foul yet familiar. By cutting the two words a combination, it reads better. It's cleaner. It's stronger. So there are times when that heavier choice, like just that small cut, I think really enhances clarity and flow. And I do agree with you that when you make the choice of adding queerly there, you deliberately stop the reader. So the question the author should be asking, because I agree, Molly, with that, is do you want us to stop at that place and think about the word choice? Because I think that that's the natural reaction from the reader when they hit something like that.
Yeah. I think like what you're saying and like what Erin has said, sometimes occasionally less is more, and a few tweaks here and there, whether it is the structure, the grammatics, the punctuation, that's what you had said, some of those kind of things, just play and see if it becomes more powerful to the message you as the author want to convey. Oh, one final thing. I love this last line. I am super interested in what happens next. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it is brilliant. Like it's the smell, and it's on somebody's freshly polished leather boots. Mm-hmm. We know somebody's coming. We already know, like, the fact that they're wearing freshly polished leather boots in a prison. I want to know who that, like, you know what I mean? I am so bought into turning that page to finding out what happens next.
I love this writing. This style is just, I'm so here for it. which is interesting because we know that fantasy isn't usually, this is usually more your genre, but this is my style. Like, I would love to read this style.
Yeah.
Love, love,
This-
love, love this.
This for me is a little heavy for what I read recreationally.
Right.
Not bad, just a different style.
Right. And that would be like a little more in line with my tastes.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate the depth and I really, there's so much literary control in here and so much intentionality, and I feel it, and I can already see the parallels and connections as it's building. And just the use of words like the phrases like bloody thatch and besieging darkness. To me, this is poetic genius. Like there's some poetic, really deep, beautiful poetry here. And my favorite line is mocking my paralysis. Because that's both physical and psychological. And so like the echo of that inside, I could go on for, I just love this.
I know, you're excited.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. And I just thank you so much for submitting it to us. Like, it's just so fun to get to read all the truly gifted writers that submit, and for our chat, like people to help us make it even better and to get invested in helping each other tell the best story possible. I'd love to, I can't wait to hear where this goes. This is so great.
Me too. So before we get to our final first page of today, I did want to bring up one, you said it. Thank you, all the wonderful people here in the chat. We love you. Thank you, authors, for submitting. If you want to submit your first page, you like what we do here, you want our feedback, you want the feedback of the chat, join our positive writing community, all that kind of stuff. Right now, we are accepting new first page submissions through our Patreon. We got inundated with first page requests. It was lovely. We got overwhelmed though. So, if you want to support us in that way, we would love to have you on there. You can check out our Patreon. There's a link in the description, and it helps support us. It helps us, run our channel, pay for the website, pay to run contests, and that kind of thing. So anything that you can do for that. And if you don't want to pay, that's great. If you could like this video or subscribe, that alone just helps. And we just love that you're here. I don't know what happened to Morgan. She has disappeared. Well, that's okay. We'll keep, going on. She'll probably pop back in. Maybe she had an issue with her internets, the powers of the webs. And we'll keep going. Thank you all for being here. So I'm not alone. I sort of, talking into the void, kind of feel alone. But let's keep going. Unless anyone has anything they want to say while we figure out where Morgan is. Anything from the chat? I can't hear you, but I could, read something if you type it. This is how one types, I'm pretty sure. Different than piano. This is piano. Typing. Piano. Oh, great. Now that I've given people fuel to gift me, let's move on. I'm glad we're all alive, except for Morgan, who's disappeared. Hopefully not sucked into some different universe. Cool. All right, we are going to go on to our literary one. The name of this piece is "These Are Not My Final Words." Season 1, Episode 1, Pilot. This episode starts in the middle of a funeral. You've been warned. Are you okay? I heard it so many times and even caught myself saying it a few times. It was just such a natural thing to say at a funeral. People wanted to help, I guessed. Or people wanted to help, I guessed, but didn't know how. I'm okay. I had heard Riley say over and over again. I hadn't spoken to Riley yet. Nothing I said mattered anyway. Jonathan Goodwin, the minister started from the podium, is going to come and say a few words now. The room was too silent as I stood and walked up to the front of the open auditorium. My dress shoes echoed in the empty space with each step I took. I avoided looking at Jace's coffin as I climbed the steps to the stage. Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan. If If you don't know, Jason and I called each other writing partners, but really that's just a fancy term for creative friends. Together we created Dick. That's the name of our show, which I know sounds kind of dumb, but has never failed to make us giggle like little kids because we were both actual idiots. My brain made a mental note of the misuse of R, but I tried to ignore it. And let me tell you, we both love Dick. I paused to allow the light laughter to brighten the room. See? It's funny and dumb. He's a little duck and a detective. A dick. It's really stupid, honestly. There is no term for when one human is in the present and when one is in the past. There's no way to express that one can live while the other cannot. No conjugation defined what it meant to survive the death of someone else. Okay, that is the first page. Gather your thoughts while I check to see what's going on. Yes, Morgan's internet has crashed. So I'll just let her know that hopefully she can come back. But if she can't, we'll survive because we are strong, independent people. And anyway, all right. Hopefully you all will help me give some first page critique to this one because I don't have Morgan to bounce off of. But I'm going to start with what I like about this. First thing that I like about this piece is I really like the beginning. I really love this first line, right? This juxtaposition, and the author plays with this across the whole piece of life versus death, of what happens when somebody is gone and someone's here, and how do you live through grief, right? It starts right in the middle. You know what you're getting into. I really like that. I like, this idea of like, what we do, does what we do matter or not, right? When you talk about grief and you talk about, it jumps right into it, like patterns, right? People say the same thing over and over again, and they don't even realizing they're saying it, but they don't know what else to say. And so you just repeat this pattern, right? Riley keeps saying, I'm okay, even if maybe Riley isn't okay. Oh, Morgan's back.
Sorry.
No worries. The chat put up with me. And by that, I mean helped me out.
Because they're amazing. Okay.
Yeah. So I just finished reading our last one. And I'm giving my what I like about it. So I'll keep talking while you speed read.
Well, I love the idea of starting in the middle of a funeral. I'll start there.
That was my first thing. So yeah, I love that. I love the patterns, the talking about what is natural, what is not. And this idea of playing with death and humor. You guys know I love humor. And when you have humor with death, it can work sometimes and it can't work sometimes. I think for me, it mostly works. I'm going to say it mostly works for me in this piece. Yeah, I'll say that. Morgan, have you read fast enough? Do you ready to talk about what did you like?
Well, can you explain back to the fire and the steam? Can you explain the dick joke to me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I believe I can. You see, the word dick is funny.
Yes.
And you see, sometimes Dick can be a nickname for Richard. And sometimes Dick is a term used for a private investigator. But sometimes people use the word dick to refer to the burning loins of somebody.
Yes.
And I
think Aaron has it better. The throbbing member.
So you see, it's a very elevated wordplay.
Okay. That's what I thought, just making sure.
But I believe the private eye is a duck. I'm not sure here.
yeah, that part I didn't quite get. That was the part I didn't understand. And Mark's like, back to the loins. Yeah, yep, lowbrow
Yeah,
today. But, and let me tell you, we both love Dick. Can you, is that, who's talking there?
I believe the main character is talking there.
Okay.
This Jonathan guy.
Okay. That's what I wanted to, is it a pass? Isn't it like at the other character?
I think so here's what I think, and we're getting into my even better if. So I think what is happening is sort of like this, right? There's no term for one human is in the present and one is in the past. So I think that's referring to this sentence. Like, I love Dick. He loves, clever. I think that's what it's trying to do.
That's what,
but it's not tied in.
But I think seeing the world is saying that mixing emotion allows, okay, like, I really like, she said, I really like the ending and how it touches on death. Mixing emotions allows people to go to places that otherwise they would dodge, right? That they would, and I think that's that past and present. That's clever, but I might need a little more help on the page to get there.
Yeah. I think for me, my even better if is clarity on this one. The ideas bounced a little too much, and I couldn't always keep up, and I wasn't very grounded in the world. Like, I knew I was at a funeral, but I didn't know who I was, right? We have an I here, and I didn't know who the I was. I didn't know how the I was related to the dead person. I didn't know how I was related to Riley or how Riley was related to the dead person. I was really like, I thought Jonathan Goodwin was the minister, not the narrator. I was very kind of in this like confused bubble. And then once the person started talking, I got a little confused because there's not a lot of cues interspersed with the dialogue. Like, I don't know how the audience is reacting, except for this line right here. It becomes kind of a talking head in a space that I don't understand. I'm not trying to sound harsh here. I just get kind of lost.
So what I think is that there's some really good wit and some pithy humor.
Yes.
But we grounded a little more in the world and definitely a little more character work, because there's kind of an unspoken rule in writing to be careful how many characters you introduce on the first page. And Teresa if she was here, she would talk about this.
That's a good point.
She would do a much better job explaining than I will, but I'll do my best. We have some major main character. We have Jonathan. We have Riley. We have a minister. And then we have this Dick joke.
Dick. And we have Jace.
And so now we're at 6 characters in one page. And that is probably asking too much of your reader. So just slowing it down a little bit and pulling it out, or giving us a character sheet at the top or something where it says like a pilot, or like there are other ways to do it, but ground us a little bit more. Like, who's saying, are you okay? Definitely from the first line, I would like a little more characterization so I can visualize the scene. So it's not naked dialogue, because although naked things increase the heat, they can also cause confusion.
I feel like there's a dick joke in there. Oh no, I meant duck joke. No, you bring up a great, if this is formatted as if it is a screenplay, right? At very least, right?
Season 1. That was my biggest confusion, was about formatting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But an interesting one that you have is like at the beginning of a play, in every, new scene, you're going to get the characters in each scene, and you're going to get their names and maybe something about them as well. So that could be an interesting thing if that is the format and what the author is trying to evoke. But I don't know what the author is trying to evoke at this point, you know? But if they are, could work.
I definitely love what's happening in the chat. Erin's making some really good points about word choice.
I love Erin's point about just get rid of the minister.
Have the podium, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just cutting that character out.
Well,
we're never going to see if we're never going to see him again.
Think of the microphone also. It could work as a double entendre. It could be teased out to enhance the humor. Like you could actually use the setting there. I mean, the page has a dick joke on it. It could be a tiny bit of fun double entendre, like setting. It could be, I don't know. You'd have to play with it, but it could be really funny.
Yeah. Erin brings up another point. I do feel like the grammar in places here could be stronger, right? There's some times where I was confused whether it's present or past tense. And like, for example, like this episode starts in the middle of a funeral, and that would imply we're in present tense, but then we are actually in past tense. And so it gets a little confusing at times. There is some interesting grammatical choices, but then
I disagree with the first part, because if it is set up more like a pilot, then it would be present and then it could go back.
You would think that would be as a note before the pilot started.
Okay, so I would disagree that it's grammar and say that it's a formatting issues.
Sure. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
What's Aaron mean by they're talking about grammar, but also using anyways?
I think, Erin, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what Erin is trying to say is that anyways, and it is a very informally written piece, which can lead to lax application of grammar and maybe some informal word choices. But then later you have lines about how like this person is nitpicking their own grammar usage, which doesn't really quite seem in character. It was a little confusing to me as well.
I missed that. That's fun. But I think the biggest thing for me, so the biggest takeaway is this a novel or is this a screenplay? And then making the choices that would reflect that. I think if this is a novel, I need more characterization and setting. I think if this is a screenplay, I need the dialogue is good, but I think I need more pre-scene description about characters and like a little more about like the set, I think. I don't know. Molly, what do you think about that? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of different directions that this could go, right? If this is reminiscent and evocative of a screenplay, then there's a lot of cool things you can do, like a character list at the beginning, like setting the scene before the scene actually starts. Like you can do that kind of stuff, and that could be really functional and useful here. If you don't want to do it that way, like you still have to, for the readers, you still need to like set the scene in some way. Like we need a little bit more grounding. We need a little bit more help, I think, here on this first page. Because you're playing with really fun, interesting ideas. And I want to know about the tiny duck that's a private eye. I mean,
it's just fun. There's this real original creativity here. Love it. I love what's happening. Yeah.
It might be bad from my standpoint, not from the authors, but like it says something bad about me, where I'm more invested about the show called Dick, that's about a detective duck, than I am about the actual funeral. Like I have much more care. And but again, maybe that's me.
No, we don't know who has had the loss, really. Maybe the main character, maybe Riley. It seems like Riley's loss is a little deeper. But I think it's fair to say that the stakes are a little unclear. And really getting the stakes out there might enhance this and really make the humor pop. I mean, Molly, you're one that talks about that a lot, about the importance of getting stakes on the first page, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like, making it more clear how the character feels about Jace's death. Was Jace a friend? Had their relationship spoiled over time? Does he feel resentful, regretful? Does he you don't get that feeling. All you get is like this kind of the repetitious feeling, like the things about the patterns, right? Which even then I feel like the character should have some sort of reaction to. The character should be like, I can't feel anything. I'm numb. I should be sad. I should be this. I should be that. But all I'm focused on are these patterns or, you know, stupid jokes about dicks or things like that. But there's not like a, like
no,
it's
I
there.
don't think it's a stupid joke.
There's no reaction to it.
Great joke. Just saying.
Yeah. Sorry.
And I want to end with on this really positive note because I really like what Erin says here, that she likes the contrast between funeral and the detective Dick. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Howard the Duck. We're all invested in Dick Duck.
Well,
Duck Dick?
It's
no, not Duck Dick.
Original
Don't say
idea,
that.
Right? So it's super fun. So hopefully in all the chaos, you are still up for, you know, whatever. Dumb dick jokes. Moist loins. Great first pages. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully that you will submit your pages to us. If you'd like a warm writing community, please come see us on our Discord. You can check us out at semistagesofthepages.com. Where you can meet our amazing friend Teresa, who has all the answers to everything. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Yeah, we got to always make Molly turn red. That's the goal. That's definitely the goal. I know you
should that be the goal? Is that the goal?
Yeah.
Somebody said that the link to Patreon wasn't working. I'm just popping it in the chat right now. Thank you all so much.
I'm glad you said that because my husband had mentioned that too. Thank you, everyone who submitted work to us. We hope that our comments were helpful in any way. Please remember they're just a reflection of us doing our very best to help you make your stories shine, and that we're subjective, but we do our best and we care very much about your writing and more importantly about you and your journey. So have a great night and thank you for joining us.
Take care.
Bye.